Good morning and welcome to Homecoming Weekend. We are so glad you're here and could not be more excited about our return to in-person worship. May we remember to practice compassion, patience, and flexibility with one another as we learn how to come back together in new ways. Registration for Sunday services in October is now open. Please visit our website at www.unitytemple.org to reserve a seat for adults and children. We hope you enjoyed the service, and we look forward to seeing you at Community Hour after service on the patio for social time. For those joining Coffee Hour via Zoom, we look forward to seeing you at noon.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, gonna build a brand new world. Ain't gonna let no hard times turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no hard times turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, gonna build a brand new world. Ain't gonna let no violence turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no violence turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, gonna build a brand new world. Now don't you let white supremacy turn me around, no, turn me around, no, no. Turn me around. Now don't you let white supremacy turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, gonna build a brand new world. Now don't you let nobody turn you around, turn you around, turn you around. Now don't you let nobody turn you around. We're gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, gonna build a brand new world.
Good morning. My name is Julie Willoughby, and I serve on your Board of Trustees. It is my pleasure to welcome you here this morning. If you are here for the first time, thank you for joining us. We look forward to getting to know you. We invite everyone present in the sanctuary today to join our in-person community time immediately following the service. Our online Zoom community time will happen at noon. The link can be found in the e-beacon or Friday's email, or you may send an email to tlewis@unitytemple.org to request the link. We appreciate everyone wearing a mask over your mouth and nose during the service as a way to protect each other, especially our children and those among us who may not be able to be vaccinated. If you find yourself needing a break from wearing your mask, we invite you to go out on the patio and come back when you're ready. Each week, we remind ourselves of our congregation's core values: connection, transformation, justice, and acceptance. Our mission is to embody these core values in our daily lives by welcoming all, inspiring compassion, nurturing wonder, and serving community. I'd like to take a minute to talk about our annual fund drive, which takes place each October and is the way that we fund our mission and live our values. Over the past few years, the budget that has been voted on in the annual meeting has been out of balance. This deficit budget was presented to the congregation after many cuts had been made. Before the annual meeting, before the congregation even saw it, the budget had already had programming cut, financial allocations for repairs cut, staff salaries and benefits cut. The board feels that this approach has been misguided. We have inadvertently been hiding from the congregation what we need financially to make ends meet, downplaying what we need to embody our values, what we need to live our mission. This month, we are launching our annual fund drive for 2022. We are now entering an exciting season of renewal for Unity Temple, welcoming Interim Minister Reverend Don Cooley, and celebrating our past, envisioning our future, and preparing for what lies ahead. And so it is that we, the board, have decided to stop hiding from the congregation the real budget, the real needs we as a congregation have. It is time to take our leap of faith, as we have done so many times in our past. We've done it before, and we can do it again. Your annual fund drive materials should have arrived at your homes, or will in the next day or so. If not, let the staff know and they will get a new one to you. Please look the materials over and pledge to make a stretch gift. Last year, we reached a pledge goal of $937,888. This year, our pledge goal is $1,206,081. It's a leap of faith, but one we can take together. The leadership of the congregation and I have already made our stretch gifts and ask that you join us to ensure that our beloved congregation remains resilient, strong, and connected. We are so glad that you are with us today. We hope you find the service inspiring and meaningful. I invite you now to take a moment to greet one another, both online and in the sanctuary.
Yeah, I guess usually it's okay. Good morning. You're here. I can't tell you how beautiful you are sitting here in the sanctuary. So happy. Our chalice lighters this morning are Gwen and Eamon Schnitz. Gwen is loving and likes making friends, and Eamon makes cool creations.
Oh goodness. I have to tell you, this space looks very different with people in it. It's much more alive. Our call to worship this morning is by the Reverend Kenneth Patton. We arrive out of many singular rooms, walking over the branching streets. We come to be assured that friends and siblings surround us to restore their images on our eyes. We enlarge our voices in common speaking or singing, or in today's case, humming. We try again that solitude found in the midst of those who with us seek their hidden reckonings. Our eyes reclaim the remembered faces. Their voices stir the surrounding air. The warmth of their hands assures us, and the gladness of our spoken names. This is the reason of cities, of homes, of assemblies and the houses of worship. It is good to be with one another. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your life's journey, and wherever you are in the world, come, let us worship together.
It's true that we can't sing together, but you can hum and you can also follow my gestures. We're going to be singing hymn number 361 in the gray hymnal. And if you feel like it, stand and join me in singing "Enter, Rejoice, and Come In." Humming, you know what I mean. Here we go. Rejoice and come in. Enter, rejoice and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Peter.
Enter, rejoice, and come in.
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 Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Yay!
Please join me in our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
Good morning. I'm not Jay Peterson or Kathy. I'm Diana Coates, and I'm one of your pastoral associates. And it's the time in the service when we share what we're holding in our heart. And we pause to review the joys and sorrows of our own lives, those moments that have moved our spirit throughout the week. To share a milestone, loss, or major transition, please email pastoralassociates@unitytemple.org by Friday night. So we have some celebrations. Julie and her mom are going to Italy in a week, and isn't that, yeah, just clap, let's just get into it. And yesterday, I went to a powwow. It was very last minute, but it's really beautiful, and it's going on today as well. And this is National Indigenous Month, And there's also, so the singing is beautiful, the drumming, if you don't like drumming, don't go. But the costumes are magnificent. Anyway, so that's my joy. My sorrow is that maybe some of you saw there's been some specials lately about Indigenous women disappearing. So there is a place at this event where I bought this pin, and it's a celebration of the event, and to bring, it says, bring our sisters home. Violence touches the lives of many people, both outside and inside our community. We pray for all those whose lives that have been impacted by violence as either a victim or a perpetrator. Let us hold in our hearts the joys and sorrows, spoken as well as those unspoken, but present in this community as we enter into a moment of reflection. I have long wanted this Rumi poem explained to me, and I've always loved the last line. And in Elizabeth Lesser's book, Broken Open, she explains this poem. This is regarding despair and dulcimers. Here's the poem. Today, like every other day, we wake up empty and frightened. Don't open the door to the study and begin reading. Take down the dulcimer. Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kiss the ground. Taking down the dulcimer for Rumi was a prescription for dropping the complicated burdens we haul around and the despair we often feel. Elizabeth says her way of plucking out a tune on a simple stringed instrument is to dig in the garden or sit on the forest floor, uncovering matted leaves with a stick, uncovering the miraculous process of dying life turning into living earth. For me, taking down the dulcimer means going for a walk in the woods, reading an inspirational book, having a conversation with one of my children or grandchildren, and putting on music and dancing the cha-cha or Argentine tango, or cooking something I love to share with others. There are hundreds of ways for each of us to counter despair with an act that connects us to our most essential, simple self. And for me, just folding laundry sometimes and stacking the towels, or making my bed. It always feels good to have my bed made. Or watering my flowers on the terrace. That's what taking down the dulcimer is for me. There are hundreds of ways to put down our burdens, hundreds of ways to give and receive blessings, hundreds of ways to wake up grateful after a sleepless night. How do you take down your dulcimer?
are someone who likes to come close when you're listening to a story, I invite you to come and sit down on the floor near me. All ages are welcome. So you may or may not have noticed that in the foyer we have a table with some containers of water and some pitchers, and those are for our water communion ceremony. And we have done this for many, many years. We invite people to pour water into a collective container. And if you did not do that yet, you are welcome to do that after you leave the sanctuary. If you can bring water. If you did not bring water, you can use the pitchers to pour in water for yourselves. And one of the reasons we do this is because it's like a way of reminding ourselves that each one of us is important and we all have something to bring to our community. And it reminds us that we are part of one big whole. And we wanted to celebrate that this weekend, especially as many of us are coming back to being together in person. One of the things that I add to the water is the holy water from the past years, and that has water from the years before that, and years before that, and years before that, and that reminds us that our congregation has a long history, and there's lots of people that we are connected to. Even if people aren't alive anymore, they're still part of who we are and who our community is. And so there's all different ways of being together that water helps us remember. I also found a book this week called Together. It's by Mona Damluji, and it's illustrated by Inosanto Nagara. And it's a book that's kind of like a poem. So even if you aren't close enough to see the pictures, you can imagine them in your mind. One star shines as distant light. And when stars shine together, they make our galaxy. One bee wanders through my garden. And when bees work together, they form a colony. One bird calls into the world. And when birds call together, they make a cacophony. One tree grows toward the sun. And when trees grow together, they make a canopy. One voice sings a tender song. And when voices sing together, they make harmony. One instrument plays an unforgettable beat. And when instruments play together, they are a symphony. One mountain rises to a mighty peak. And when mountains rise together, they are majesty. One wave is a surfer's dream. And when waves move together, they are an endless sea. One of us can make a home. And when we come together, we are family. One of us can love with all our heart. And when we love together, we build community. One of us can speak up for justice. And when we speak up together, we create a world of possibility. The end. We have activities for our young people, and if you would like to participate in those, you may come outside with me as we go.
Hello, Unitarian Universalists. This is the season of ingathering, marking the start of a new congregation year. In recent months, as more people have been able to get vaccinated, many of us have been able to gather in ways that we haven't for a long time. It has been a joy to gather with distant loved ones, to hug our family and friends. And it's important to savor these gifts, these blessings. And we know that the pandemic is not over. Virus variants are creating uncertainty and greater risks for our children, the immunocompromised, and those who cannot get vaccinated. If you are eligible, please get vaccinated. This is the most important thing you can do to keep your loved ones, your communities, and one another safe. Getting vaccinated and continuing to wear masks remain a priority. And they help make our gatherings, whenever and whatever form they take, as safe and welcoming as possible for our children, for our elders, and for those most at risk. I share the feelings of frustration that we are not further along in combating this virus. And I know the heartache and confusion of trying to figure out how to best care for the spiritual nourishment of our communities while the virus surges. The way forward will be different across our communities. Rates of vaccination, case counts, ability to meet outside, quality of ventilation, ability to physically distance indoors, congregation size, and particular needs and risks of our staff, our leaders, and our members, all of these can vary, and all are important factors in planning how we gather. I'm encouraged, though. I'm so encouraged by the creativity I witness in our congregations and the way that we are all leaning into mission, remembering how much our families and elders need community. It's important to think outside the box and to experiment with ways of gathering, both virtually and in person, that are meaningful and that attend to safety. In this time of ingathering, this season of new beginnings, care, kindness, and patience for ourselves and others are needed in abundance. Remember to prioritize the values of inclusion and consent, centering those most at risk, and to follow the science and be flexible in making plans and changing them when needed. At its core, ingathering is a ritual that celebrates the value and the meaning of religious community, the ways that we are held by a wider circle of love and care. I invite you to take a moment to be present to your body, and the physical space in which you are present. Be open to the emotions that you carry in your spirit. And remember that you are not alone. We belong to each other. And even when we are apart, we are held by a greater love. We are held by a religious community and by people that comfort us and care for us and remind us of our connection to the larger interdependent web of which we are all a part. May we be grateful for the unseen but very real threads of compassion and strength, care and intention that surround us. There is great healing and sustaining power in our faith, and our work is to make these manifest in ourselves and in our communities, even if how we do this looks and continues to look differently than it did before. Our ministry is life-saving when it is responsive to our realities, helping all of us navigate these unprecedented and very precarious times. Thank you for being a part of this faith and for your commitment to your UU congregation. We will get through this together, caring for one another and being held by the larger embrace of abiding love. I send you my blessings to you and your loved ones and your families and to your communities. My love and care to each and every one of you. Blessed be.
No
It's one thing to see the video of the choir and another to be present when they're actually singing. When UUA President Susan Frederick Gray says that we need to be flexible and creative, I think we are doing that. And it's hard because we miss that, don't we? We miss the vibrancy of them with us. And yet, what a celebration that we can be here together now. Meister Eckhart, the Christian mystic, said that if the only prayer you ever say in your whole life is thank you, that would suffice. I am so thankful for today, to be here, to be with you, both online and in person, to be with this congregation, to be a Unitarian Universalist. I remember the first time I attended a Unitarian Universalist congregation. My spouse and I were looking for a place that would challenge us to live our values, but wouldn't force us to say we believed in something that we didn't. We were looking for a place that would welcome everyone, a church community that we could grow into and contribute to. This was before any congregations had websites, so I'm dating myself a bit, and I thought that all churches started at 11 o'clock because that's what I had grown up with. So we just showed up at 11 o'clock. Little did we know that, like today and here, the service started at 10. Whoops. But we came back a few weeks later. It was a summer service, and the minister was on her vacation, and there was a time in the service for the people to share their own perspectives, their own experiences on the topic. Now, I don't remember what the topic was, but my spouse, John, and I were blown away. A church that wants to know about us and what we think and what we believe and what we've experienced? Wow. Like so many others who have had similar experiences, it felt like we had found our spiritual and religious home. Reflect back with me for a moment on the first time you attended a Unitarian Universalist congregation, either in person or virtually. Perhaps it's today, in which case you are even now trying to figure out who we are and if we might be a good fit for where you are on your spiritual journey. Perhaps it was last week when our inspiring compassion team and our ministerial intern led the service, and Terry and Kate and Diane sang a beautiful rendition of Waylon Jennings' One Voice, which reminds me so much of our message for all ages today. Perhaps the first time you attended was last month or last year. Maybe it was a decade ago, or 2, or 3, or 4, or 5, and I think there might be some people in the room for whom it was 6 or more decades ago. Perhaps you've been a Unitarian Universalist your whole life, or maybe your whole adult life. If that's the case, then I invite you to try to remember the time when you felt most like a Unitarian Universalist, when you felt most grounded in our faith, most proud to be a UU. If home is where the heart is, or if home is where we are best understood, so many of us have found a home in a Unitarian Universalist congregation. And so it feels fitting that this homecoming weekend is Unity Temple's first worship back in person and truly multi-platform in 18 months. Home is an interesting metaphor to use in the case of a faith community, because for most of us, we have complex relationships with our homes and with those who may live there. We know that home is not always a peaceful place, Heaven knows in my home there was lots of yelling and loud noises, people coming and going, cats throwing up and dogs chewing beloved toys. Home is not always a peaceful place. Home is not always an easy place to be either. When I am at home, I am nagged by the demands of life. Bills to pay, meals to make, mail to sort through, chores to do, kids to take here, kids to take there, school things to do. Home can be a place of endless cleaning and filing and things that need to be done. And for some of us, home may be a terrible metaphor. For some of us, home is or was a place of abuse, a place where we're not good enough, a place where we hide and protect our true selves. If the metaphor of coming home doesn't work for you, that's okay. I hope that somewhere you will have the experience of being loved for your true self. I hope and pray that all of us will have the experience sometime, somewhere, of being in a community that, though it may not be perfect, is a place where we can be our true selves, where we can be accepted and loved for who we are, a place where we can let our hair down, where we can take off the metaphorical masks that we must put on each day to get by in a world that is increasingly difficult and oppressive. A place where it may be difficult at times, and it may be lonely even at times, and it may not always be easy. But it's a place where when we walk in, we can finally breathe. I hope we all have had or will have the experience sometime of finding a place that feels like what a home ought to be. This congregation strives to be a place like that, a place where we are reminded that we are loved and lovable, reminded that we are worthy and beautiful, reminded that we are a part of a whole and that together we create this congregation as a community of love and justice. Let me tell you, when you find a place where you are welcomed and loved like that, it can be transforming. Indeed, it can be life-saving. My friends, our faith truly does save lives. Don't ever doubt that. For those of us who are told that we are too different, too gay, too feminine, too masculine, too fat, too thin, too black, too ethnic, too loud, too sick, too smart, too sensitive, too anything to fit into society's tiny little oppressive boxes, Unitarian Universalism and this congregation give us a place where we can be embraced and loved and know that we are not alone. This is life-saving. Because the world is getting harder and harder. The world is getting more polarized, more consumerist, more oppressive, angrier and more unstable. And it is so hard to resist the pull into cynicism and despair. It is so hard not to buy into the capitalist vision that you are only worth the money that you can make. So hard to not buy into the white, cis, heteropatriarchy that sees only one small sliver of the population as normal. So hard to resist seeing our neighbor as other or not us. And truly, we cannot resist all of this on our own. We need a community to hold us, to encourage us, to give us strength, to love us, and to challenge us. We don't need yet another place in our lives that tells us we are not good enough, that we are not lovable, that there is something inherently wrong with us. The world does that just fine on its own. We need a place that tells us that we are lovable and that we are loved for the wholeness of who we are. We need a place that we can feel safe to explore what it means to be human and the many, many different expressions that takes. We need a place that teaches us how to put our values to work in the larger world, to help us live integrated, authentic lives where we can do this with others. Like the waters we share in our water communion, Unity Temple is what it is, not because of this beautiful building that we're in, but because of what each of us brings to it as we make it our spiritual homes. Here, we strive to be a place where we are loved, where all are loved, and also a place where we can practice loving each other. It is good to be loved, but just as essential is the human need to offer love. And sure, it's easy to love the people who are similar to us, but it is a sacred spiritual practice to actively love those who may put us off or who may seem too different from us. Making this congregation a welcoming spiritual home that loves us and holds us, that takes our love and it takes our commitment. For those of us who have found a home here, it requires that we be more than just consumers, passively watching and staying at arm's length. Making this a home that welcomes all, inspires compassion, nurtures wonder, and serves the larger community. Making this a place that saves lives takes our time, our energy, it takes our emotional and spiritual commitment, and it takes a financial commitment. I'll talk about the financial commitment more next week. But in our board greeting this morning, you heard Julie talk about the theme of our annual fund drive this year, Seasons of Renewal. I find this a particularly fitting theme as one of the goals of interim ministry of my time with this congregation is to assist you in renewing your vision, strengthening your stewardship, preparing for new professional leadership, and engaging your future with anticipation. This season of renewal is also captured by our water communion, where the new water from this year will get mixed in with the waters shared in past years, co-mingling and reminding us that this congregation has both a rich history and an exciting future. So many of us find a spiritual and religious home here because this faith community, this church, this congregation can help us renew our connections with our deepest selves, renew our connections with the spirit of life and love, and renew our connections with each other. This truly is the meaning of religion, to reconnect us to each other, to that which is bigger than just one of us alone. To remind us that we are not alone, that we are part of a larger whole, and that we belong to each other. This congregation gives us a place to practice loving each other in all our diverse expressions of humanity and all the messiness that creating community yields, and it is messy. It won't always be perfect. We will be challenged. We will disagree. We will not always get along with everyone. But in a world that tries to rip us apart, tries to shred us to pieces, this congregation strives to be the kind of spiritual home that helps reconnect us with our best selves, that helps us to be whole. For all of you, no matter how long or short you've been a Unitarian Universalist, even if today is your first visit, I say welcome. Welcome to this place where you are loved in all your humanity, in all your imperfections, in all your complexity. Welcome home.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Allison Farnham. I'm the minister and director of the Unitarian Universalist Prison Ministry of Illinois, or UUPMI. Each week, Unity Temple gives its Sunday offering to an organization that aligns with its values. So this week, your offering supports UUPMI, and I'm so grateful to share with you this morning. At the Unitarian Universalist Prison Ministry of Illinois, it is our mission to equip Unitarian Universalists in Illinois to transform or partner in the transformation of institutions and support people who are harmed by the prison industrial complex. We do this work through informed advocacy that is guided through our partnerships with people inside Illinois prisons, recently released, and trusted community partners who have people who are directly impacted, who are leading the way. We also engage in activities of education and inside ministry and congregational work. And it is always a privilege to come and be with you. This morning, with your offering, you can donate by sending a check to the Unity Temple office with UUPMI on the memo line, or by following the instructions on your screen. May what you give bring you joy.
Join me in humming, gesturing number 368 in the gray hymnal. Now let us sing.
Now let us sing.
Now let us sing to the faith within.
Now let us sing.
Now let us sing to the faith within.
Sing, lift up your voice.
Lift up your voice.
Be not afraid.
Be not afraid.
Now let us sing
to the power of the faith within.
Now let us sing.
Now let us sing to the hope within.
Sing, now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the hope within.
Sing, lift up your voice.
Lift up your voice.
Be not afraid.
Be not afraid.
Now let us
sing to the power of the hope within.
Now let us sing.
Now let us sing to the love within.
Sing, now let us sing.
Now let us sing to the love within.
Sing, lift up your voice.
Lift up your voice.
Be not afraid.
Be not afraid.
Now let us
sing to the power of the love within.
Now let us sing.
Now let us sing to the joy within.
Sing, now let us sing.
Now let us sing to the joy within.
Sing, lift up your voice.
Lift up your voice.
Be not afraid.
Be not afraid.
Now let us sing to the power of the joy within.
It starts with a drop, then a trickle, a burble, a rush of water bubbling towards its destination, and finally the wide, endless sea. All rivers lead to the sea. Today, you poured water into a common bowl. Though our experiences have differed, these waters mingled, signifying our common humanity, and you can sit or stand however you are most comfortable. Today, you came and shared in this sacred space, whether it's online or in person. It is sacred. May you depart this sacred space, hearts filled with hope for new beginnings, a fresh start. Go forth, but return to this community where rivers of tears may be shed, where dry souls are water, where joy bubbles, where your life cup overflows, and where deep in your spirit you have found in this place a home. All rivers run to the sea. Blessed be.